What is going on, New York Giants fans? How you living? Hit Squad back at it with another video, and today feels like NFL Christmas. We have free agency here, and with free agency here, it's always fun to see where players end up this time of year. And while I don't think the New York Giants are going to be spending any big money in free agency like we did last year, I do think there are some players the Giants could look to potentially bring in this offseason. Now, before I get into this video, I want to encourage everyone, if you're new to the channel, join the Hit Squad. Join the Hit Squad, hit the subscribe button, pick that like button for me, and let us know your thoughts below on this video. Now let's get into this. Now again, I know I said that I don't think the New York Giants are going to be making any big splash signings, but I do think there are some players that are going to be on the open market that make a ton of sense for the New York Giants to bring in. And one of those players is offensive guard Jon Feliciano. Jon Feliciano is a former Buffalo Bill. He's 6'4", 325 pounds. He's 30 years old. He was a 4th round selection in the 2015 NFL draft by the Raiders. And unfortunately, he was a cap casualty for the Buffalo Bills. The Bills signed him to a 3-year, $17 million contract in the 2021 season, and they actually approached him this year to take a pay cut. He declined it, and they decided to release him, which ultimately they'll save $3.3 million and will take on $1 million in dead cap hit. Now, with him not wanting to take a pay cut, he's going to be going into a market that is deep in offensive linemen, specifically at offensive guard and center in free agency. Now, Feliciano to me makes a ton of sense to bring in because there's familiarity, and I don't think that he'll be an expensive signing. Again, he is 30 years old. While he is 30, he's still productive in my honest opinion. And I think that with him knowing Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, and knowing how Brian Daboll likes how his offense is run, on top of having ties to offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, I think that he would be a player that you could ultimately bring in and be a nice solid piece on your offensive line. And again, you're bringing in players that have familiarity with the system. I still think that this guy has some upside and he could be a solid piece to this offensive line. Feliciano is a player that's versatile. He's played left guard, he's played right guard, he's even played center in his 3 seasons with the Bills. I know some people will say that the Bills' offensive line wasn't that great, and granted, it wasn't. But Buffalo had some nice pieces to the offensive line, and I think that Feliciano didn't play bad last year when you look at the tape. And I'll be honest, there are some negatives with Feliciano. He's dealt with injuries the past 2 seasons, which have limited him to 15 total starts. And I'm a kind of person that I don't like taking chances on players that have an injury history. You look at players like Galladay, you look at players like Ross, who we'll get into that in another video. You look at players like Adoree Jackson. I want players here that can stay healthy. But I do think that Jon Feliciano still makes a ton of sense to bring in. Now, with him only having 15 starts in the last 2 seasons, he has a total of 39 starts and 82 career appearances, which, again, that's not what you want in any player, let alone a player that you're bringing in free agency. But I do think the New York Giants will address the offensive line this year, not only just in the draft, but I do think in free agency as well. And I think, again, it makes a ton of sense to bring this guy in, even if it's for depth purposes. That's not going to stop you from signing an offensive guard in this draft. And I think that with the created cap space from Blake Martinez and Shepard's new contracts, on top of the cuts from Riley Dixon, Devontae Booker, Kyle Rudolph, and Elijah Penny, and you have to imagine that Bradbury gets moved on, they're going to have the money to at least spend on a couple little contracts like Jon Feliciano's, maybe a depth cornerback or 2. But in my opinion, I think this is a player that the New York Giants should look at. If not, there's a ton of players that are going to be in this market that the Giants could look at bringing in. I mean, this market's going to be deep at the center and offensive guard position. So if not Jon Feliciano, again, I still think the New York Giants go out there and get their guy. But let me know your thoughts below. Are you on for bringing Jon Feliciano? Would you want to stay away from him? I mean, I guess I understand both sides. There are pros to bringing him in, but there are definitely cons to, bringing him in as well. But ultimately, let us know your thoughts below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And again, I'll see you guys in the next video.